And welcome to episode 7 of the Luckbox Podcast. I'm joined by Paul.
7?
It's a 7.
You've managed to get 7 podcasts done on your own.
We've missed you for a couple of them.
Yeah,
you were
we have.
sick for one, unavailable for another. And
Yep. Away for something else. And
we've had quite a few.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're on to 7. We're doing pretty well, and we finally got the studio sorted out. It's only
taken 7 episodes.
We can hear ourselves.
We can hear ourselves much better, much easier.
Later on, we've got Roman from.
We do. Yeah, that's going to be a technological marvel.
Yeah, it actually is.
Yeah.
You joke, but I spent ages making sure it's going to work. He's going to appear on the screen behind us,
like magic,
and also be audible in our
ears. And hear us.
Yeah, no, it's genuinely complicated.
I'm glad he's doing that, not me.
Yeah. So for those of you that prefer to only listen rather than watch us, there's an audio-only version.
It's going to make no difference at all to them. Well, actually, the sound quality might be better because we've got no AC on the mics this time. So
it should sound better, but you won't have to look at us, which is the main difference.
Always a good job when it comes to me, as I have a face for radio.
That's going to be on SoundCloud. But if you're on SoundCloud and you want to see this face for radio, both of our lovely faces for radio, you can join us on YouTube.
Don't do it. Don't go there. Just listen.
Okay. So, Paul.
Yes.
You're
Sujoy.
back.
How are you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm
all
right.
Been ill.
Yeah. No, I have been very unwell.
I've never heard of you being ill before.
Genuinely,
not newsworthy ill as in you've missed a show.
No, I've never missed a show before. I couldn't attend one event because I was unwell many years ago, about 10 years ago. I couldn't go to an ice series because I got taken ill the week before an event.
I can't imagine you were being paid for much for that.
No, I don't think so. A couple £100 maybe for that weekend. But anyway, it wasn't that. It was the fact that I missed an event. And so that's the only time I've never gone to an event where I've been ill. This one, unfortunately, I'd actually flown out to Turkey. Yeah. So I was actually in Istanbul, and I felt a bit weird when I landed. And I just
the
thought
event is
Blast.pro. Yeah, Blast.pro Turkey.
The Counter-Strike Go event.
I was really looking forward to it. It's a very different type of event as well. It's a different format. There's multiple games going on. So I was super looking forward to it. There's a lot of people that work on the show that I'm really looking forward to working with. People like Frederick and Nicholas and some of the other guys at Blast.pro. I was really looking forward to it. And then I had a terrible journey out for whatever reason, but just a really bad journey. Yeah. And then landed and felt really weird. And I thought it was maybe just because of the bad journey or something. And
it's not that far to Turkey.
So. 4.5 hours, I think. And then we had a really difficult journey from the airport to the hotel, and our van broke down on the way. Okay. And it's already a torrid journey through Istanbul. Rush hour traffic. It takes a few hours to get to the hotel. Okay. Across the other side of the town, and we even took a ferry at one point to avoid some of the traffic. And then we broke down a couple of miles away from the hotel, so we had to then wait, I think, 40 minutes before someone else could come and rescue us. So it was a real, jeez. Wow. By the time we got there, I was already shattered. I think I left the house at 10 a.m. in the morning, and I got to the hotel at 9 p.m. So 11 hours door to door. So that was, people look at it and go, it's only 4 hours. What are you complaining about? But actually, 11 hours it took us all in all. So it wasn't an easy journey, and I felt a bit weird when I got there. And I thought maybe it was just a bad travel. And then I woke up in the morning, and I could not get out of bed. Okay. I could not get out of bed. Like, I ached, and I was sweating and shivering. It was just awful. But I forced myself to get out. Had a shower, got dressed. We had media day in the morning, and I went down to media day. Literally, from my room to the media room, I felt utterly awful. And then I went back up to the lobby because there was nowhere to sit down. I thought I was going to fall over. I thought I was going to pass out. Wow. So I went up to the lobby and sat down for a bit. And I think Nicholas came over and he checked on me, and I said to him, I felt absolutely terrible. And he said, just go back to bed, it's fine, and you rest, see how you feel. Well, the following day I felt even worse. Friday I literally couldn't get out of bed. Like, my body ached like I had done 20 rounds with Mike Tyson or something, and not had my ear bitten off. But it was really bad. Yeah, it was some sort of flu, and so I flew home. Flying home was unbelievably difficult as well. Just the effort. I left my suitcase at the bottom of my stairs where I lived in my apartment. I live on the first floor, and I left my suitcase because it was so heavy I couldn't lift it up the stairs. Wow. I didn't have any energy left by the time I got home, so I left it down there for 6 days. Till one of my neighbours knocked on the door and said, is your
awful.
suitcase at the bottom of the stairs? Yeah, it is. Yeah, sorry. Would you like us to bring it up? Yes, please.
Oh, you mean in the communal area?
Yeah, where I left it out
wow, you couldn't actually get it.
I couldn't get it. I got it into the door, and then I didn't have any power in my arms. You know when when you're so sick, you just can't lift anything and you can't move. Okay. I was like, that was so ill. I've not been ill like that for a very long time. Probably not ever, actually. I've never had anything that's made me stay. Because I got in on Friday, and I slept pretty much through to Sunday morning. I don't remember any of Saturday. I got up on Sunday and had a drink and used the toilet, and then I went back to bed, and I didn't wake up until Monday.
Oh, man.
And then, I was like, where did the weekend go? I didn't actually do anything or see anything. It was insane. I haven't been ill like that for a very long time. So touch wood, that's my dose of the flu done, and I'm good for however many years now.
Are you upset you missed the
Yeah, very upset. Yeah, and I didn't even get to watch it back either. Didn't watch any of it live because I wasn't awake. I wasn't alive over that weekend. I didn't get to see any of it sadly, but I assume it went okay. Astralis won.
Yeah, Astralis won again.
Yeah. So it went according to the plan. Well, I think everyone thought when we went into that, I think certainly from when I was talking to Tommy and we were talking pre-show, we were all under the impression that MIBR and Astralis would probably be the two final teams. They were the strongest teams in the majors, give or take a couple of other teams, obviously, but they weren't at this event. They were definitely the best two at Blast Pro that came from the major. So it wasn't a massive surprise. There's no time in between. These guys have literally got 2 days. I think Tommy flew back to Finland, for instance, for a few days to see family. Yeah. In between leaving Wembley on Monday and then flying to Turkey on Wednesday. Yeah, I don't think fans understand sometimes that we are literally going event to event to event, which is kind of ironic because that's what's going to happen very shortly with all the Dota stuff because there's 4 big events in 4 weeks.
And this is incredible because we've just finished.
Feels like we only did finish TI last week.
The biggest event
and the season has started again.
And yeah, where's the break?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, my YouTube feed is full of Dota again.
Yeah. I mean, it's great for me as a fan, but it must be terrible for the players and the teams and the manager. I mean, I've spoken to Matt actually about it. Cyborg Matt, who is the manager at Secret, recently about it, and he said to me like, it's insane. We leave Vancouver, and then within 11 days, we're starting to play qualifiers again.
It's incredible, and
that's no time at all. I think we almost have to get Valve to mandate a whole month where we're not allowed to do anything in, the 4 weeks after TI. You're not allowed to hold an event in the game. No licenses will be given, something like that, because these players have to have a break at some point. OG, they won, right? What are they doing? Well, nothing.
Yeah, they're
nothing
taking a break.
Because they're going to take a break now. They're doing any minors, they're doing any majors. So that means they won't play at all ever. In September or in October, and maybe only in November when they have to play qualifiers.
They seem to be the only team doing this.
Yeah.
So the news is OG.
Arguably,
are
Liquid
skipping.
took some time off because they played terribly in the qualifier for the major, but I don't think that can be classed as time off, can it?
No. Involuntary.
Yes.
But OG are skipping the Kuala Lumpur major
not doing
completely.
Yep. And why not? They just won $10 million.
This is one thing I want to ask Roman when he comes on.
Yeah. What are VP doing?
But VP have a lot more to prove at this
stage.
They do.
Obviously. They still have something to prove. It feels like we start the season again. Here we go again. Virtus.pro. They'll do really well early on again. They'll show us how great they are. Why can't they do it at TI? It's so frustrating for me as a fan to watch them. I had them as the great hope this last TI. I will say I picked LGD from the start. I did, yeah.
They didn't win, of course.
No, but I had LGD rather than Virtus.pro. I was on the whole, it's an even year, it's the 8th year,
Okay.
8's a lucky number in China. China has to win the 8th one, therefore LGD. Yeah. And someone that has to win that hasn't ever won before with 5 players that never won the TI. So I went with LGD on that basis. And the curse got broken.
Yeah, it's actually, retrospectively now I'm thinking, you didn't pick OG. But
no, I didn't pick
But the fact that you picked LG over VP is significant.
Yeah.
Because VP were the front runners.
Yes.
By far.
Yeah.
Like dominating the entire year and then...
Yeah, we'll talk to him about that, can't we? We talked to him about, what are they like? Are they really as leery as we think they are? Yeah. Are they taking things for granted? We'll talk to them about it.
We'll
be
get
fun.
to that.
Yep.
But we will see... maybe we'll get to this as well, but we are seeing Maincast this weekend. That's the right word, isn't it? I've never heard of this event before.
No, not me. This is a new one on me.
It's called Maincast.
Okay.
I've been watching the qualifiers.
Okay.
There's a few interesting things happening here. First of all, VP will be playing from either Friday or the Saturday.
Okay.
The cool thing is Secret are playing and Na'Vi are playing, right?
Yes.
Mid 1 needed a stand-in. Guess who's standing in for mid 1?
Dendi.
It's Dendi.
Oh, wow.
Dendi and Puppy back on a team together playing against
so
Na'Vi.
So good.
But see, this just came out a day ago.
Yeah.
And it's blowing my mind. I mean, how's that going to feel? And so
I mean, the downside is this, right? I can tell you for nothing, Secret guys love mid 1.
Yeah.
Like, they love that guy. He fits with that team perfectly.
Moments of brilliance he brings out.
Absolutely, but it's a gel factor. He loves that team, the team love him. So it's very hard to see how this can be anything other than one-off with Dendi. As much as I love the idea of Dendi and Puppy playing together again, and it's in Secret, and it's the first time we've seen Dendi in something other than a Na'Vi shirt. Mm-hmm. Cool, very cool. If it was permanent, I'd be thrilled, but I wouldn't be thrilled if it was replacing mid 1. It's kind of a tough one.
Yeah,
very tough. I think it'll just be a one-off.
It's not.
Yeah, it'll just be a one-off. I'm pretty sure.
Dendi's going to replace.
But it's great. It's great for Secret. It's great for Dendi, and I think it'll put him in the shop window a little bit. I think a lot of people say a lot of the downswing in Na'Vi's form over the last few years, certainly over the last 18 months, has been down to the fact that they've stuck with Dendi. I'm not so sure that's fair. Well, I think there is inevitably a downturn in his skill level, but if you watch him play still, as I often do because he streams a lot, he's still a great player. He's still a fun player to watch, right? Really fun player to watch with the kind of mechanics that he has and what he does in the game. But has he dropped off a bit? Probably. If I'm honest, I'm a Dendi fanboy, so it's really hard for me to admit that, but I think he probably has dropped off a bit. But do what the others have done. Move down the order a little bit. He would make, in my opinion, an amazing support player. Mm-hmm. Make him a 4 or a 5, right, and put him in a team with that level of experience and that knowledge and that game sense and mechanics. Holy Moses, he'd be a star support player. He'd be a Puppy or a Kuro. That's the kind of level I think Dendi can make as a support player. And I think it's about time in his career that he could do that now. I think he could be a team leader. I think he could help teams go forward. He's certainly been drafting a lot more in the last couple of years than he did before. So all of the things for me, age-wise, career-wise, time-wise, where he is in teams, that it feels to me that he should be. The trouble is with Don, though, he will always just want to play mid for funsies, right? I think he'd rather go and play for, I mean, God, let me think of a team here that, without insulting anyone, Vegetables. He'd rather go and play for Veggie eSports, right, and play mid than he would to go and play
Blitz?
Support for Virtus.pro or something.
You're going to replace Blitz.
Well, I think Blitz would be okay if Dendi wanted to suddenly decide to go mid for Veggies. I think Dendi has that infectious kind of love for the game. Like, he just wants to play and have fun with the game. He's not that bothered about winning tournaments. I think he wants to win. I think he's very competitive, but that not at all costs, not at the expense of having fun and being with friends. And I think that's partly why he'll enjoy the Secret atmosphere.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, he's been 8 years with Na'Vi, and just absolutely iconic. When I first started watching Dota 2,
same.
I'm watching Dendi, Na'Vi dominating, and I wonder if it's his ego a little bit, thinking, I don't want to leave mid. Mid is my identity.
Do you know the guy very well? Because I know him quite well.
I've only
he
shook hands with him
no
once.
ego. He has no ego.
Yeah.
Seriously, he's one of the, I know you'll hear this phrase a lot, he's one of the nicest players I've ever met. No, he genuinely is properly nice in person, as well as he is with the fans. The way he is when you see him with the fans sometimes, and he's joking around and laughing, he's like that backstage. He's like that messing around in our green room, or he's like that at the catering area. He's like it all the time. I remember one afternoon we were in, I think it was TI 5, and we were in the green room. There was a table tennis thing going on, and it got quite heated in there. Look, some of the players are very competitive when it comes to table tennis, trust me. Yeah. He walks past, just grabs the ball midair and laughs, and then throws it back on the table, and everyone else is just like, but you can't be mad with him because he's just got that grin and that smile, right? He's just mischievously fun. And then he walks to the other end and he's like, hey, Redeye, have you met my friend? And it's a lady that he's with. And I was like, oh, no, I haven't. No, say hi. And he's like, hey, maybe you, I was like, whoa, what are you trying to do? You fix me up? What? She's laughing, I'm laughing, he's laughing. He's just funny and fun around people. So I've never known him to have be like have that ego. I've never known him to be like, I'm playing mid and that's the end of it. I don't think he's ever gone back to anyone at Na'Vi and said that's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
But by the same token, I don't think anyone could ever get mad with him and say, you're playing support, Dendi. Like, God damn it, man. Go and play support now. I'm doing it now. Dendi, if you're watching this, go and play support. You'd be amazing. He won't listen, though. He'll flame me on Twitter now, or he'll send me a love heart or something. You just can't get upset with the guy.
Well, let's see how they get on. They're playing, obviously, Na'Vi.
That's going to be a fun game.
Yeah. Let's see how they do.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he'll surprise everyone.
Yeah, I hope so.
We'll see.
I hope so.
The first time I've
so we've got main cast. We've got WSOE, which is brand new.
I
Richard
really
Lewis's
wanted to
guys.
ask your opinion on this because it's not like any other esports event.
No.
It's completely different. It's much more like a showcase event.
Yes.
Like
It's called the World Showdown of esports, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the idea behind it is, and I'm not being disingenuous, I hope, but it's a bit more like wrestling, UFC style, centerpiece kind of, showcase of esports.
I think they're doing that unapologetically.
Yeah.
They're saying, look, we want to put on a show. We want to have the belts and the very detailed backstory of who's playing who and turn it into this very strong
and it's early, so I wouldn't put too much pressure on these guys. It's their first event, it's their first Dota event. They're going into it without having done anything before, so let's not put too much pressure on them. Give us a space.
I believe Richard Lewis is heavily involved.
Richard Lewis is going to hosting it.
Counter-Strike.
Sure.
Well, we're seeing...
But Richard's a big Dota fan as well.
He's
played a lot.
And Loader at this event.
Yeah, hopefully which I'm really looking for. Do you know, that stuff's all blown up.
Yeah.
You know it's all overblown, right?
I'm sure it is.
They're actually mates now.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. You can.
I hope I haven't given anything away, but yeah.
Why are they gonna?
I don't know.
Have a fake, maybe boxing.
Maybe.
Match in
I honestly don't know, but I hope they do. That would be amazing. We're in Vegas after all, right? Go and hire Caesar's Palace, put a ring in the middle, get these two to finally sort it out between them. That'll be fine, wouldn't it? And no choking, right? It's not in boxing.
But do you think this is the first of events of this type?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think they'll do this again and they'll do other games. It makes sense, right? Well, and then that way they don't have to be, they don't have to stick to the regimented form book of here's how you do an event, this is how many days it runs for, this is the format. Because, as much as I love big events like that or in stadiums, there is a formula for it now, but why not have some other stuff out there like Blast Pro are doing with Counter-Strike? It's a little bit different, right? Yeah. Why not have WSOE out there doing something different? Why not have someone else doing a Battle Royale style thing? Why not have someone else? We used to play King of the Hill. Do you remember King of the Hill?
Oh, yeah.
We used to quake through King of the Hill all the time, right? And the basis was that you put one player up and he stayed there and then he played contenders every time and he stayed on until he lost, right? And then you had a streak, and if he, in a period of 6 months, if he had the longest streak, then he won the prize. Why not have a King of the Hill tournament? We have never had that in esports in a stadium before.
You're right.
So I'm okay with a bit of an eclectic taste, and actually let's have a little bit of everything. Like, you don't have to have the same thing every time. It doesn't make anything better or worse than something else that you like.
Yeah. Just
because it's a different format. So I'm okay with it.
I mean, I've been thinking along these lines in general because we're seeing esports evolve.
Yeah.
We're seeing like Fortnite Battle Royale games trying to get into this space.
Yeah.
Now, I don't see that working as a very hardcore serious esports tournament. Something with a more entertainment flair, more showbiz.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? It's esports entertainment.
Yeah.
And I think it's partly why I think people get upset whenever you see something that says esports superstar ninja with record view. Well, he's not esports. That's what I hear a lot. Well, actually, he is esports. He was an esports player beforehand. What makes him not an esports player right now? Well, he doesn't fit the purity factor that we have as snobs when it comes to esports. And I'm unashamedly an esports snob. I like the purity side of things. I want it to be competitive. I want it to be the integrity of the format and the rules to be right. And if I feel that you've messed around with that in some way to manipulate how the tournament ends up being played out, then that's not sticking to the purity of esports. Yep. And some of those formats are. And the reason that they are is because they are for entertainment purposes. And I'm okay with that too. But let's call it what it is, right? Yep. Let's not call it pure esports in the way that we normally expect to see it. Let's call it entertainment esports. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And now we've got Roman joining us. He's the general manager of Virtus.pro. And through the magic of technology, you're appearing on our screen there.
Amazing.
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, hey guys, good to see you, good to hear you.
Yes, good. It's not quite satellite delay, fortunately. You remember in the old days when they would like, hey, here's Roman from Russia, and it took like 20 seconds for you to reply because of the satellite delay. It's not as bad as that, Roman.
Yeah, it's not as bad, but I mean, usually they always have the red square behind on the backdrop. Sorry, I'm having the entrance to the wherever.
Where are you? It looks like you've been locked into a storage room or something like that.
No, I'm actually here in Ulyanovsk, which is a city on the Volga River in between Siberia and the European part of Russia. And it's like a sports forum here, and that's where Putin was meeting Habib yesterday and he was like, hey, I think you're going to make it up with Conor and stuff like that. So yeah, there was like a big thing here. So I'm speaking about eSports today.
You move in such amazing circles these days, Roman. How, first of all, as a Dota fan, how are the boys? How are they feeling after TI? It's been a few weeks now. Things have settled down. Have they kind of moved on? Have they got over it?
Well, first of all, it's been like comparing to the last year, the break has been much smaller because the TI started later. So we didn't really have much time to kind of let it settle. Like we had the qualifiers that we had to play for the Kuala Lumpur major, and then one of our players, Pasha, he got married right after we came back. Basically, and it was the most jet-lagged wedding that I've ever. The party was over for us at something like 10 p.m. because we just couldn't stay much longer because of the time difference.
Amazing. And, watching you all leave early because you can't stay awake. So be honest with us. How were they after? How disappointed were they after TI?
Yeah, let's be honest. Virtus.pro were the number one team. They the favourites.
Yeah,
I
know what you're saying.
They didn't play badly, but they didn't get top 3.
Yeah, I know. Well, it was a huge disappointment, obviously, and I should say that as we were there in the practice room right after the tournament, there's been a lot of long, unpleasant conversations. I mean, one of the strengths about our team is that the guys, they never they never make it personal, so they can shout at each other when it's about Dota, but they always respect each other as people, and this is basically one of the main reasons why we're sticking so long as more or less a stable group of people. So it was a huge disappointment. We made some decisions. I mean, we parted ways with our coach art style. We got the new coach in, and then we also changed some things about in-game. So Ramses is now more involved into coordination rather than solo. So solo can focus on his individual performance now that the 5th position is very much important, especially in the first 20 minutes, and he's showing some good results. So yeah, I mean, the guys just realized that rather than splitting, the best thing that they could do for themselves, the highest chances of making it, is just sticking together because these are the best players that they can play with. So yeah, we're moving on.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I guess when I look at them from the outside looking in, all the tournaments that we went to last season, all the majors and the minors they played in, they play with a kind of a swagger. I don't know if that translates very well into Russian, but they play with flair and creativity, and they'll do drafts that are just crazy. They'll do things where they don't ban anything for an entire game. They'll play crazy Dota, and it seems so easy for them, Roman. They just playing with us. They're toying with their food sometimes, it seems. And yet they still go on and win many majors last year. What is the difference between that team and the team that came to the international? Were they too nervous? Were they too tight? What was the difference?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say that playing under pressure is like I wouldn't say that we didn't have enough experience of really playing under pressure, because we had Super Major, we had DAC. We had many tough matches. So I would say that the biggest issue we had is that we completely misunderstood the meta the way it was before TI, and the heroes we were playing. And then when at the group stage, when you all of a sudden realize that you're not into the meta, of course you get nervous. So they just realized that the heroes were just wrong, and the heroes that were practicing were just wrong. And then all of a sudden you kind of, no matter what you do, someone's still gonna pick, OG heroes, and then they're just gonna win.
OG heroes, I like it.
You mentioned 2 names there, Solo and Ramses.
Yeah.
And there's been news recently, which was quite impressive. It was a Head and Shoulders deal for Ramses and Gillette sponsorship deal for Solo.
Yep.
Isn't that right? How did that come about? And how do you feel about the way this team is going?
Well, it's pretty simple. I mean, obviously, Ramses doesn't have enough facial hair to be face of Gillette. And,
not yet, anyway. A few more years.
Yeah, a few more years. And they approached us quite some time ago. Ramses' shooting was before TI, Solos was right after that. It's just, an example that, those non-endemic brands coming into esports that everyone has been talking about at the conferences for the last 5 years, it's finally happening. So yeah, I'm super happy for the boys. It was a great experience for them. They got some, money into their pocket. But first of all, it was an amazing experience of working with a super experienced filming crew, photographers and all that stuff. So yeah, it didn't take much time from them. Like for Sol, it was 1 filming day. For Ramses, it was 2.5, I think. Yeah. It was an amazing experience. We're super happy for them.
Yeah, it's great. No, it's great stuff. I love seeing that for all of the esports players. That can only get bigger as well. I was trying to think about what would the other boys advertise. Ooh. What would Pasha be really passionate about in terms of advertising? Would it be burgers or what would it be?
We have Roger, and he's basically from Armenia, which is famous with its kebabs. So everyone is like that. Yeah, he should be face of some, meat-related stuff. And, yeah. So.
All right. Well, maybe in his dreams he'll get that.
This team, though, I think what impresses me and a lot of other people is how long you've kept this same roster and how well they work together. And it doesn't feel like there's friction and problems in the team.
You've made what, one change to the playing lineup in 2 years? That's pretty good in Dota World.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, this is. It takes a lot of work. Trust me. Actually, this group of people that we're having right now is completely different to the group of people that we had 2 years ago.
Yes.
Back in 2016, Ramses was barely 17, and he was basically a kid. Now all those people are growing up, and trust me, they're starting to have girlfriends, they're starting to get married, they're starting to have more. So it's it's like the Beatles. In 1960, George, Paul, and John. And then you first travel to US, and then you have we don't have Yoko yet, hopefully. So things are going well, but trust me, it's a hard job, and the guys themselves, they're working hard as well, just to separate this Dota thing where they can have a lot of arguments, and the personal life where they respect each other a lot, and it's our job as VP as well to keep them together. Yeah.
Yeah. Just a little side note for you. Your former sister team, Na'Vi, they parted ways with Dendi this year. Obviously, it's very sad to see a man like that part ways with a big team. What are your thoughts on Dendi and what's next for him?
Obviously, there are different views on that, and I should definitely say that he is a personality. He's done a lot himself to promote Dota as a sport, as a discipline, and the CIS as a region, and he's undoubtedly a legend. Obviously, he wasn't having a lot of good time in Na'Vi in the last couple of years, and if you think about Artstyle, who just simply finished his career and then joined VP as a coach, that was one option. Obviously, people are saying that he might switch positions, but I believe that he's earned the right to choose for himself. And he will be playing Na'Vi tonight for the first time in the history, and that should be amazing. There were rumors about him joining Secret. I think everyone heard about them. But we'll have to see how it goes with him.
We were just talking about this. Puppy and Dendi together playing against Na'Vi. It's just
it's wrong somehow. It's not supposed to happen in Dota 2. I'm pretty sure that should be illegal. Or something. Yeah. So just one final question from me. How do you look ahead then for the next season? Obviously, it's very different this year. We've got 5 majors, 5 minors. Is it the same process again? Is it try and win as many majors as they can, build up consistency?
Well, how do you feel about this new DPC system? Yeah. You guys dominated the last one. Are you going to do the same this year?
Well, I think this DPC season, at least the system is much more sustainable than last year. Keeping in mind that Valve has banned the teams that already qualified for the majors to play at the minors. So we won't just go there just to win another summit. So I think it's much more sustainable for the bigger teams. It's much more effective for the smaller teams because they, can compete with each other and not get, all stressed about, getting like 3-0 from VP or some other like LGD or Liquid. So for the smaller teams, it's an amazing option as well. And then there is much less pressure on the players in terms of the flights and everything. Because if you think about last year, I'll just give you a short example. We were playing Adrenaline Cup in Moscow against Navi. Then the next morning, 6 a.m., we flew to Barcelona to play WSG qualifiers. Then after that, we flew to Jönköping to play Dream League. Then from Jönköping, we flew to Macau to play. And then from Macau, they flew to LA to play at Summit and then back to Moscow. So you can imagine, and it's just not, you can't, keep on such a long time. And that's why Solo, who is the oldest player, he just said, guys, I cannot handle it anymore. That's why he had his short vacation. So yeah, I think this year it's much better. I think it's more fair system with the fact that everyone has to play qualifier. So we don't like it, but we understand that this is a fair option, and you don't have those stories when you invite EG or invite VP to a CIS tournament just because it's CIS. It's fair for everyone, so I think it's a good option.
That's good to hear from you, actually. I did wonder how you felt about the qualifications. I figured you wouldn't be that happy at having to qualify, but at the same time, I'm glad that you understand. I think it's a much fairer system, for sure. I'm also glad that you spoke about the flying as well, because I spoke about it earlier, and I genuinely don't think... It's the same for the talent as well. Talent go from one event to the next, and the players do the same thing. I don't think fans often understand, Roman, that it takes a lot out of you when you do all of that travel, and you're travelling around so many times in so many different time zones, that players can't play at their best, can they?
Yeah, that's right. And it's sometimes fans can imagine, this fancy life when you are like in Barcelona, then you're in Macau, then you're in LA. The reality is, trust me, the flight from Barcelona to Jönköping, there are no direct flights. So you sometimes fly to Stockholm, and then you travel on a bus, and then you can't even go out of the hotel because there is simply not enough time. Then you can't sleep normally. Then some teams get advantages because they have already adjusted. So yeah, they're professionals. It's their job, and it's a dream job for a lot of people. All I'm trying to say is that if everyone wants to see the best Dota, if the players want to really perform really well, and everyone wants to see some I firmly believe that one of the reasons that's why this TI has been such an amazing experience, because the majority of the teams have arrived to Canada well in advance and were boot camping there, so they were well adjusted. We spent there 2 weeks. Some other teams did that as well. I think almost all of them did that. So this is why everyone was well adjusted and was able to show some amazing games.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're wrong at all. I think that gap probably hurt you guys more than anyone else in terms of the gap between the end of the season and TI with the changes in the meta. But everyone arrived in Vancouver ready to go, that's for sure.
VP are actually going to be playing this weekend in main cast.
Yes.
We're starting tomorrow, yes.
Yeah, so there's not much break there for you guys, and then ESL1 Hamburg, I assume, and then
there's an important point on that actually, Roman. You've won 3 ESL1s in the last year. That means 3 of your players have Mercedes-Benz cars, 2 of them don't. Is that causing any problems? Is someone else going to win the next one?
We'll have to see. Obviously there is, everyone wants to do this, and that's the question that we have to answer all the time. We'll just try to do our best, and Pasha and Ramses will focus on their game, and the other guys will help them, not taking,
How would that even work? Do they have you can give a rampage sometimes by just saying, okay, take the last hit, but how do you give an MVP?
I don't know. All play badly. Somehow one guy plays really well, and then you still win the final, because in theory you're going to have to get to the final to be an MVP. So I don't think you can ever fix the MVP.
No, that's a tough one.
But the fact that you've got 3 guys there that have all won an MVP award at ESL1 and therefore have all won the Mercedes-Benz. Didn't they jokingly say, welcome to ESL1 Hamburg, congratulations on your 4th ESL1, and here's another Mercedes. Have I not seen something somewhere like that? Was that not a letter or an invite they sent you?
I think it was back in Birmingham when they were.
Was it Birmingham? Yeah, okay.
Yes, always good about those small jokes. So yeah, there was something like this.
but you know what? They weren't wrong.
No, they
your
weren't.
Team dominated the final. It was hardly in doubt at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
we were like that. And yeah, this is actually another example. So we skipped the Mars TV major like a few weeks before, and it gave us the ability to have some rest after Epicenter, because Epicenter we didn't play so well because they were super exhausted, and then it gave us some time, and then at Birmingham we were again able to show some solid games, some good results. That's another example of what I've been saying about less tournaments, more focus, better Dota.
Well, as much as I love to talk about Dota, it'd be great to talk about Counter-Strike a little bit as well. Well, so the thing is, though, your team has been struggling recently, and a lot of questions on how's this team is this team gonna stay together? You've got this Polish Dream Squad, and the next major coming up is going to be ESL Katowice. And it's an IEM actually, isn't it?
It's an IEM, yeah. It's IEM Katowice, yeah.
And I mean, what's the future for this team right now?
I should say a few things. I mean, there was a certain stage back in 2017. I think it was ESL One New York last year, when we were starting having the conversation about the fact that we're somehow, not making it, and the slump has been going on for 6 months back then. So we made a principled decision that we were trying to build the team around the young guys, and it took a bit longer because, as you can imagine, replacing a player like Taz, who is one of the key reasons why this team existed in the first place. And I can frankly say that when we were speaking with Victor at Atlanta at Boston Major in January, this was one of the hardest days of my life, and definitely in my career at VP. And people were really crying, and almost everyone at the table. So we got Mihu in, and that was the first step. Obviously, with with Snugs departing, that was his request. He kind of came to us and said, guys, I wanna give it a try in mouse. My firm belief is that although it was kind of the contrary, because I believe that he has the capability of becoming one of the the best players in the world. He has the potential, and letting go a player like him wasn't always the right signal to the players themselves. But we had to do it, and but we got Snatchy in. So finally, I would say after London Major, where we just couldn't change the players because of the roster lock. Finally, after the London Major, we got the people that we really think can make it. And all I really can say is that I just don't think that Pasha and Neo, they deserve their careers to end like this, in the middle of nowhere. So I would say the next tournaments will just show how much is still there. I mean, I'm quite optimistic about how we performed at Blast Pro Series in Istanbul. If you think about how we played the game with an IP, I mean, obviously Astralis is just another league right now, but we have the hints of making it, so we'll just have to see. And obviously the minors next year are going to be a big test for the guys, because they want to play there in front of the home crowd more than anyone else in the world.
You mentioned Neo and Pasha, and it's no way for them to end their career in the middle of nowhere, and I love that. I love that phrase, because it does feel like they're both coming towards their end of their career. I mean, Pasha less so, perhaps. Maybe he's got a little bit longer to go. But Neo has been around for an awful long time now, and obviously was probably the best player in the world in Counter-Strike in, 2006, 2007. It has been a steady decline for him over the years, but he's always maintained a very high level of play. There's been calls recently for him to start thinking about, is it time now? Is it the end of his career? Is it time to stop or retire or become a coach or move into management or do something different? We don't really know when the right time for an esports star to retire is yet, do we?
Well, I mean, yeah, actually, Neo and Taz are the people who are basically every tournament they go to, they break the record of the oldest player competing at major tournament, because they are the oldest one in the professional CSGO scene right now. If I'm not counting the stand-ins, I think it was someone with Space Soldiers, right? So every year they're just moving this benchmark forward and forward. So I mean, we are talking about this openly that the time will come. Obviously, they don't have lifetime contracts. But I can just say that when Snatchy joined the team, I was speaking to him a lot about like how is he doing with Philip, and he said like for me it's an amazing experience because like Philip is the way he's thinking in game is completely different from what I'm used to, and for Philip it was a great experience as well because he said like where I'm much more about strategies and what Snatchy is bringing is a little bit different. So like right now he's enjoying it very much, playing alongside with such a talented player as he, and they're doing along quite well. So I think those guys still have the chance.
That's good. It's good to hear that he's got a bit more passion for the game when he gets a new player in like that. I always wondered whether it makes a difference when you get a player that you really like and he's got maybe the firepower that Neo had maybe 10 years ago and he's just running around getting headshots all over the place, but he doesn't really know how he's doing it. Whereas Neo, I feel like, as you rightly said, he's more interested in the strategy these days because he can't just run around a map getting headshots everywhere. But that's where he's made up for it, that experience. It's good to understand that his fire has been rekindled and hopefully we'll still see him in Counter-Strike for a few years yet. I don't want him to retire for a few years yet. I want him to carry on playing.
Oh, we've got to have the old guys remain in there for our behalf.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well. What are you like, 73 now or something? Are you still playing?
Actually,
I mean, I believe.
Go ahead.
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to say about Neo is that I think he'll always be around. I mean, after all, I mean there are plenty of roles available for him, like in tournaments, analytics, casters, everything. I just think that with his passion towards the game, he'll be around. Same with Pasha.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the pair of them, they both have massive passion for the game, as you said, and Neo in particular, he's a super smart guy, very calm as well. It was always funny whenever I met the guys when they were at the end of a tournament and they were at the after party. You'd find them all in different places, but you'd always find Neo sat there very quietly having a quiet drink. Like everyone else is doing whatever they're doing, but he's the calm one of the whole team every time.
And you always need that kind of guy.
Yeah, you're right. He's always been like that, for sure.
Got
anything else?
Well, I want to ask about the difference between CS and Dota, because obviously CS has been around for such a long time, has a very developed scene and a circuit of how the year progresses. But Dota, as a newcomer, has just...
Ish.
Okay.
Ish.
Well, 8 years of...
What, Dota 2? Sure, but with Dota before.
Okay. But
this noob.
But yeah, what do you feel about the difference between? No, I mean that eight's not a long time for me. That's all.
Okay.
What do you feel is which is better, the Dota circuit or the Counter-Strike circuit? Because they're two distinct systems, really, with Dota being crowned by TI.
Can I ask an additional question in this? Can I throw in another one on top of this, Roman? Would you prefer franchise system like LCS and Overwatch? Dota 2 DPC circuit or 2 majors a year in Counter-Strike? Which one do you prefer?
This is your chance to shape. If you had the power to shape esports, it's like, what would you prefer?
This is actually a very good question. I would say, like, before I answer it, I would say 2 things. First, I think, guys, since we have the ability to edit, there's like a card going. Let's cut it.
No, you're just giving me more work to do. Fine. Okay. I got to keep note that I've got 2 edits to do now. Okay.
Yes, so 2 edits. But I mean, whatever. So yeah, answering your question, I would just say 2 things first. When I just, when I joined DP 2 years ago, it was a big question for me, like, why Valve is not like doing a standard thing both for Dota and Counter-Strike. And that they're having separate like regulations, separate logic about this. And first it was a bit awkward, but I mean now as you see that, I just believe that thinking either more long term or they just want to try everything. And so like having those 2 systems, which are on one hand similar, they're both not franchising, and seeing both the pros and cons of every system, I think it's a very smart decision. And maybe they will be, coming more towards each other in the future. But I think now it's a good kind of test, being able to test it. When it comes to franchising, I mean, I'm European, so obviously our tradition is, having like relegation games and then, Newcastle dropping into championship.
Hey,
and then
whoa. Like, come on now, Roman. That cuts hard. No need for that,
We have a Newcastle fan in the room, I'm afraid.
Oof.
Man City dropping into
Thank you. That's much better.
Not as realistic, but...
So yeah, all I'm saying is that it's just sound logical. The fact that the weakest team is not eliminated is strange, but I think it's in the long term, franchising is more sustainable, and I believe that if it's done right, this is the right thing to do. But it can only happen when the market is ready. So frankly speaking, I don't see any problems with because like. DPC is a kind of it's also a way of being like a franchising system, like when as long as you are not doing like super dumb moves, you are like staying there, you're not falling out of this circuit. And pretty much the same with Counter-Strike. It's sports, and you can have bad times, but answering your question, I think in the long term franchising is the right thing to move.
Okay, wouldn't disagree with anything he said either.
Well,
he's a smart man.
I think it's contentious, but I don't have the backing to challenge that so much, because that was a great argument. So just a couple more questions. Battle Royale. Battle Royale. How are you feeling? This is progressing. Are you going to be setting up teams for all these new games, and what do you see in the future in Battle Royale esports?
Well, I mean, we already have 4 players in our Fortnite squad, and I would say that and they're doing pretty well. And obviously, they're all from Russia, but even in the EU skirmish stuff, they're I think they got a few, like they got 2nd place a couple of weeks ago. So I mean, they're doing pretty well. And
StarLadder just announced the PUBG season, and I mean, is that something you're looking to get involved in?
We are more careful about PUBG right now because I mean, especially in the maybe last year, they were more focused about like suing Fortnite rather than developing the game. So all I would say is that I think all esports should learn from what all esports should learn from Epic Games is like how they're promoting it, how they're focusing on streaming, how they're focusing on making it more casual, how they're focusing on making it more like mainstream. And this is an amazing thing. And this is like why we personally feel at VP that like being there is a great experience and opportunity for us. So yeah, this is definitely a thing that's there to stay. So yeah, we just want to be there, more focusing on Fortnite rather than PUBG right now. But we're taking a closer look at what StarLadder will be doing with PUBG as well.
Okay. What about the other new games, something like Rainbow Six?
Do I have to like give you the insight? Or did I just say the?
You can say whatever you like, Roman.
Well, guys, I mean, after all, this is just 3 of us here, right? So, I mean, yeah, we basically have a standard procedure of, talking to the publishers like FIFA or Electronic Arts or Ubisoft. And we're in communication with all of them. Obviously, we have to acknowledge the fact that we're like an Eastern European team, so we have to see how popular the game is in the certain region. Because sometimes, of course, you can always get American players and get them American gaming house or whatever it is. But just question is whether the costs are going to make it. And I mean, we don't have our own like oil, pump that just pumps the barrels of oil that we can pay the seller with. So we have to be reasonable with that.
Yeah, no, you have steel instead, don't you?
Next question, please.
Very tactful, Roman. Very tactful. I couldn't resist. Sorry, buddy. I'm good. I'm done. This has been very insightful for me.
I've got a couple from Twitter
as well. Yeah.
So just a couple of our community wanted to know a few things, and one of them was, what are your thoughts on the more and more prevalent link between sports and esports? So PSG buying LGD. How do you feel this is going, and is it going the right way?
Well, I was always saying that in the past, I was like, why is Schalke or like Besiktas are having their like League of Legends squads or like?
Oh, we've lost him.
No,
come back, Roman. I think he didn't want to answer that question.
It's an easy way of getting out of that question, wasn't it?
All right. If I don't touch anything, he'll be able to rejoin.
Right, don't touch anything.
I mean, what do you think about football teams, sports teams?
I'm okay with it. I mean, I have a different view to Roman because he's running a team.
He's been challenged by
exactly.
These,
so
these
it doesn't damage his brand. Actually, it enhances his brand, I think, because if you think about it, having Manchester United, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Tottenham, whoever it might be coming in. I mean, we haven't had those come in yet. Is he back?
He's back.
He's back. Hurrah!
I asked Paul instead while you disappeared.
I can shut up because I'm going to have a different view to you anyway. So.
Yeah, so all I was saying is that in the past I wasn't seeing much logic in entity clubs like Schalke or Besiktas having their League of Legends squad. For me, I saw more kind of trying to be trendy rather than real business.
Right.
Like what happened with PS.
Oh no. The Siberian internet.
Yeah, it might be gone this time.
I wonder if I should check if it's anything.
No, don't touch anything. He's actually disappeared. Hey, and he's back again.
It's a magic trick.
I know, it's a magic trick.
I think.
Final attempt. So, what I think the LGD and PSG move was a super smart decision. Premier League clubs are spending fortunes on preseason tours in China and Asia, or America. It's all the clubs are trying to get to the Asian market, and they're spending a lot of time. And PSG just they did a much, I would say, more investment efficient move, and that got them even maybe more fans and more more return on investment than any other guys. So I think that was a super smart move, and I just adore what.
Okay.
We just about got that.
He does.
We just about got that.
Yeah.
If you can still hear us, Roman, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insight.
Yeah, we might have to cut off the rest of the questions, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it might end up be gone. But it's always fascinating talking to the man, and we get a chance to see him now and again at events. I don't get a chance to talk to him that often about this kind of stuff, so it's just fascinating hearing his views on things from where Virtus.pro are. But coming back to that question, I think it's okay for them. Yeah. And it's good for Virtus.pro. Imagine Manchester United have a Dota team, right? Imagine Manchester United have a Dota team, and Manchester United are playing Virtus.pro. That's good for Virtus.pro.
That's true.
Win or lose.
You're putting yourself
win, it's even better, right? Yeah, because you are
brand.
literally a brand matching a brand. That's what you have to think about. It's not just this team versus this team. It's this brand versus this brand. Manchester United losing to Virtus.pro in Dota 2 helps Virtus.pro.
Yeah.
That enhances Virtus.pro's brand. And the fact that they can advertise via social media and everything else that they're playing Manchester United tonight in Dota 2, that's huge for them.
Yeah. Roman, you're back, and we did get the end of that answer.
Yes.
So thanks for that. Let me just ask you a couple more then. So we'll push our luck a bit. Sunrise on Twitter. I think they've heard rumors that there's going to be a VP Super CIS team in the future.
For CS?
I think that's for CSGO, yeah. But, I mean, you've already said that you've got your team and you're building.
You guys have signed these guys for 53 years or something, haven't you? Aren't they on 50-year contracts?
Imagine how old Sujoy is going to be when their contracts expire.
Okay. I'll still be watching eSports.
Yeah. So when that time comes, obviously having a superstar CS team would be the most logical option for us. And then at some stage, maybe Simple will be done with Navi. So who knows?
Okay.
Tease, I like it.
John from Twitter wants to say, if you could sign one player tomorrow, who would it be? And it could be any of your teams.
Oh my God.
That is a tough one. It sounds like you don't want any player. You have
well, he has to be careful, you see. The problem for him, I can answer this one easily. He can't, because whatever he answers right now, it means he has to replace one of the players that he's already got on one of his teams, and then they'll hate him.
If it's a Position 1 Dota player, you know who they're replacing, right? Poor Ramsey.
Yeah. Roman, have you got one? Have you got a player?
I think I would get, let's say, a FIFA player that FaZe has signed. What's his name? Shit, I forgot. Yeah, whatever. I would say I would get the FaZe FIFA player.
Okay.
All
right, FaZe, better watch out. Transfers incoming for FIFA players.
We've already talked about Battle Royale, so...
Is there one from Facebook?
Yes, Stoyan from Facebook is asking about the top-heavy nature of our industry, and the point is that we've got a lot of esports that is tier 1 with amazing prize money, production, and event operations, and then it drops off very quickly. Like, how do you feel about that? Is that just the nature of our blooming new industry that causes this?
I would say that's the nature of many sports. Think about professional tennis. If you're outside of, I would say, top 30 of ATP, you're like, yeah, you can make it. If you're outside of top 100 of ATP or WTA, you don't have that's why there is like such a serious, I would say, gambling problem in professional tennis, because you can't really survive if you're the player outside of top 100. So same applies to golf. Same applies to, like, I don't know, cricket, wherever you guys play there in England or Pakistan or any cricket country. So I would just say that it's another example where esports is not that different from traditional sports, because we're facing exactly the same problems and we're facing exactly the same challenges. And frankly speaking, no one has, I haven't heard of anyone finding the solution to that. Of course, we're trying to make it more and more sustainable, but there's always be someone at the bottom of the pyramid.
That's interesting, actually. Now you say that, I'm sort of thinking in my mind that because it's a new concept to us that you play video games for money, newish, that the idea that we all feel part of this playing community. There's a lot of us who play, and then you see the guys at the top winning a lot of money, but that's actually quite normal, I suppose, if you played football.
Yeah, no, it's exactly the same.
You're not necessarily winning.
I mean, look, I'm not a great fan of the whole let's compare esports with real sports, but at the same time, in this area, it's actually true. It is no different from you start playing football down the park as a 10-year-old, right, with jumpers as goalposts, and you actually think, I'm actually quite good at this. I'll find a local team. Yeah. And then you find a local team, and then you get a better team, and then you sign for Virtus.pro playing FIFA.
Roman wants to tell us.
Think about Jamie Vardy, where he was playing a couple of years ago. He's the top son. He's the top son of football. Like, the guy out of nowhere, and then he's winning the Premier League. Exactly the same story. Like, everyone knew the guy was there. Did anyone dream him of, winning the most prestigious award in football? No, but he still won the championship. Thompson won the TI. It's it's exactly the same.
Yep,
and then you always have your Paul Gascoigne, and then you always have Mario Balotelli, all the same guys. I just wouldn't name them.
Okay, yeah, no, it makes sense. I think it's our perspective as being within this industry and players. You might feel that way, but yeah. I've got a couple more questions. Are you looking up?
I'm looking up something that I remember, but I can't remember
I'll let you look that
what
up.
it was. But I think Roman might.
So David from Facebook.
Let me find this, and you can do something else.
Sorry, David from Facebook has said some people accuse Valve of neglecting development and innovation of CSGO in preferring to work on other titles. Do you think that's the case?
I think the game is good. I mean, we have a saying in Russia that the best is the enemy of the good. So I just think that's where the game is right now. Yeah, obviously it has some issues, but at the same stage, the viewing experience is amazing. The scene is super competitive, and so everything is going more or less good. So I mean, we can't just say that Valve abandoned the game. They're implementing some changes, maybe not at the pace that some people would love it to happen, but I just think the reason, the way I see it, is that the reasoning behind that is simply that the game is good enough already.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I was playing CSGO 18, 19 years ago, back before 1.6, and every time I look back and see it's still here and still growing, it's kind of amazing in what they've accomplished in total. So maybe you're right. Maybe it doesn't need that much more because it's working so well. And also, David from Facebook wants to know, does the bear in the VP logo have a name?
Yes, it does.
This is the most important question
of the
lot. It does.
It does have a name, doesn't it?
Well, actually, a little bit of exclusive stuff. On November 1, so in a couple of weeks, when actually VP is going to be celebrating its 15th anniversary. We are going to be releasing the new VP logo. The bear is going to be different. But yeah, the rumor was that this bear has the name of Boris, named after the first president of Russia, Boris Yeltsin, and also Boris Pasternak, the famous Russian writer. So yeah, a bit of insight, and yes, he had a name.
Okay, new logo.
Did you not know that? Yeah, thank you for the exclusive. Did you not know it was called Boris?
No.
Did you watch the International?
Oh, but there was so much going on. I was at the venue. You can't see as much. But is it still Boris then in the new logo? Is it just a new rendition of Boris?
Yeah, but this time it's named after Boris Johnson.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. That's a great note to end on. I hope he's got blonde floppy hair.
Yeah. Roman, next time we meet up at an event, drinks on me, sir. That was funny.
Yeah, guys, speaking to you. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks,
Roman.
Thanks for joining us as well, Paul. Check out more on the Luckbox website, and like I say, we've got audio versions on SoundCloud. Roman's already left. He's
gone. He's left us with his smiling face. Look at that.
Back to the conference. But
perfect face. Thank you, Sujoy. That was a lot of fun.
All right, and until next time.
Until next time.